Welcome, business heroes, to the vlog. This is really close to my face today. I don't know what I'm thinking. Let's dive in. I promised you guys another story time. Okay, so if you guys watched that video from a couple days ago, you're like, what was that? It was this video of you and some guy talking about this other guy who does podcasting? Yeah, good job. You got it. That's exactly what it was. So towards the end of my time in California, I'd taken Business Heroes and I wanted to get away from like more of the marketing, not the marketing tactics, because I still love that and I always wanted to do that, but I wanted to get into like more of the video side of things. Like, I'm a video guy, I have a video background, I love video, and I was wanting to use that and to help other businesses. And I had this idea of taking blogs that people were writing for, writing for their website, and turning those and creating a service where we take their blogs and turn them into a video, like a short sketch, short film type thing, like the one you saw. We did several of these. So we did one for, Clifford Ravenscraft, Podcast Answer Man. I did one for Noah Kagan of AppSumo. We did a spec one for a juice commercial, and then we'd sold it, but then the guy backed out, but we went ahead and still made it anyways, because there's a lot of companies who do like juice eating cleanses and stuff. We made one for a company, I think in Taiwan, and they had an article about customer journey mapping, and that was a really good one because we did this entire like mob chase thing where my buddy was getting chased. The guy that came in said, "Looks like you've been eaten by a podcast." He was getting chased by like a mob enforcer, and then we had like, it's this whole thing, and then we have this conversation about the customer journey map, and then at the end, like, the mob guy comes up and knocks on the window with his gun, the barrel of his gun. So we did a bunch of these. They were really good. Unfortunately, we never 100% got it off the ground because right after we were starting to really get successful with it, I ended up moving from California to the other side over to Virginia. So that didn't quite become exactly. We even had a show we were doing. We shot, I think, the first 3 seasons of like a YouTube, like a show called Business Heroes, where it was a fictional version of like us, as me and my buddy, like we lived in, it was actually our third friend, George Bear, his house. Like, we used his house for it. He was the landlord. He played Mr. McCready or whatever as our kind of slightly perverted landlord. And we had this whole like show where we were trying to make it as a video. So it was like to drive traffic and stuff. It was this cool idea. Like, so we shot like 3 episodes. I'm considering bringing it back because it was kind of cool. And so yeah, that's what we were doing, and that sets us up for the rest of the episode.
Hey, we putting on a show, trying to catch a vibe. We do this every time, like na. Feeling like I'm on the highway, 'cause everything been going my way. And now they looking at me sideways. I'm like na. This is where I wanna be, na. Never ever gonna leave.
All right, let's pick this story back up. So today's been a little bit of a long day. It's kind of gotten away from me a little bit more than I anticipated, but it happens a lot, so I should anticipate that more often. Let's go over really quick. Oh, it's dark. There we go. There's a little bit of light now. All right, so what happened next? Well, the answer to that will be in just a second after I remember what I was even saying. So when I left you guys, we were talking about business growth heroes, and we're doing these videos, right? So I showed you the one with Cliff. We did a bunch of those for a bunch of people. Okay, I already said all that. Okay, cool, here we go. So we were doing that, and it was a lot of fun. It actually took us a couple iterations to come up with that, because we actually shot that little show that we were doing. We shot it like 2 or 3 times before we got to the final version. So we shot it the first time, and it was all gonna be about a guy who had just gotten fired from work and then had to go home and tell his wife and kids that he'd been fired, and then that it's like, well, what are we gonna do? And it's gonna be about his entrepreneurial journey of trying to like start a business. But then we're like, that's boring, and that's really depressing way to start. Heater kicked on me. I hate it when heaters, they're constantly trying to kick on and mess up my videos. Okay, so
yeah, that was just boring, and we're like, and sad and depressing. But we figured that out in the process of, so we shot it. I think it was 2 times. No, it was 3. That's right. So the final version was the 3rd. So we go out to the park, and we spent a couple hours, and we shot the opening scene. It's me and my buddy, who ended up being the other guy in the star, who ended up being my show roommate. And we're like playing disc golf, and I'm telling him, he's like, man, that's a bummer. What are you gonna do? Blah blah blah. And it's like, and then he's gonna have to go home and tell his wife, right? And then we're like, so we shoot it, and then we get back to the house. So there's 3 of us: me, the guy you saw in that video, who's like, you look like you were eaten by a podcast, and then another guy, George Bear, and he was significantly older than us. He was like our grandpa's age, but he was part of our film group. He was cool, and he had the house, he had a bunch of equipment, and we'd made friends with him years before. So we shoot it, we get back to the studio. It was his camera, like we hadn't used it before, so we're like, all right, George, how's this? And he's like, yeah, this is how it works. Okay. And so we get back, and there was no audio, because he was using, and we're using external audio, and it was this thing he had, and he knew the system. And so he's like, yeah, it's working. He was doing the sound. He had the boom pole and everything. And we get back to the studio, no audio. So all we have is like the DSLR we were using, onboard microphone. It was terrible, right? So we're like, oh, okay, well, we'll just go redo it. We can do a better job anyway. So we go back out. We schedule like the next week. We go back out to the park again. We tweak it. We change it a little bit. We make it better. Okay, yeah, we're glad that happened. We're happier now anyways. Go through, okay, is it working? Yes. Okay, let's test the audio. Let's hear it. Da, 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 da. We get back, no audio again. And we're like, oh my gosh. At that point, we almost gave up, because it's like we shot the same thing. I was like, oh, what's going on? And then somehow we came up with this different idea. And what we ended up doing is making it about, oh, let's us be roommates. And we rented this house, and we're going to start a video business. And it's going to be, like, we rented this big house so we have studio space, and we're gonna, like, use it, have like, well, studio space, and make our videos and get clients. And then we're gonna have, we want to make it like like an old school 70s 80s show. So we wanted to have like, we had a spot for George. He was Old Man McCready. He was our next door neighbor, maybe, but he was our landlord. I don't know if he lived next door. And he was a character, and he was interesting. And he'd come over and harass us from time to time about rent and stuff, because we're behind on rent, because we're just starting our business. And the idea is we were going to teach business stuff through this show. But then at the same time, our real life business was going to be making videos for people. So this show was also, not only was it going to teach business stuff, it was also going to show, like, look, we clearly know how to make videos. And then on the back end, wanted to sell these subscriptions, these monthly subscriptions. Like I think I told you this earlier, where we're taking people's vlogs or blogs and turning them into short sketches, like little short films. So essentially, it's like having a trailer that's teaching, like an extended trailer that's teaching your blog each week. And we started doing these on spec. We started pitching them. We started making the show. We shot like 3 episodes. We ended up getting another guy to come in on a different one, the Wingify one, the guy who's like the mob enforcer and tapping the gun at the end. He plays like a 3rd roommate, who the whole series he's portrayed to be like some serial killer that my buddy picked up because we needed to make rent. So it's like, hey, let's hire this guy. We don't have any money, or not hire, but let's get this guy as a roommate and charge him rent, and we'll use that to pay our rent, to help cover the rent. But then it turned out to have its own set of problems. And then, like I said, we thought he was like a killer and all this kind of stuff. I'm gonna go dig those up, guys. Those were really fun. I'm gonna go dig those up, finish editing them, and I'm gonna start airing those. So that's I don't want to say promise to you, but yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to go look for those.